Hello everyone. Today we're going to be doing section 3, verses 21 to 29. So let's get started. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. O ye people, adore your guardian Lord, who created you, and those who came before you, that he may have the chance to learn righteousness. Those who had made the earth your couch, well, not those, who has made the earth your couch, and the heavens your canopy, and sent down rain from the heavens, and brought forth therewith fruits for your sustenance, then set not up rivals unto God, when he know the truth. So God has said, who has made the earth your couch, and the heavens your canopy, and sent down rain from the heavens, and brought forth therewith fruits for your sustenance, then set not up rivals unto God, when he know the truth. And if ye are in doubt as to what we have revealed from time to time to our servant, then produce a verse like thereunto, and call your witnesses or helpers, if there are any besides God, if your doubts are true. But if he cannot, and of a surety he cannot, then fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones, which is prepared for those who reject faith. But give glad tidings to those who believe and work righteousness, that their portion is the garden beneath which rivers flow. Every time they are fed with fruits therefrom, they say, why, this is what we were fed with before. For they are given things in similitude, and they have therein companions pure and holy, and they abide therein forever. God disdains not to use the similitude of things lowest as well as highest. But those who believe know that it is the truth from the Lord. But those who reject faith say, what means God by the similitude? By it he causes many to stray, and many he leads into the right path. But he causes not to stray except those who forsake the path. Those who broke God's covenant after it is ratified, has ordered to be joined, and do mischief on earth, they cause loss only to themselves. And just read this verse again. Those who broke God's covenant after it is ratified, and who sunder what God has ordered to be joined, and do mischief on earth, these cause loss only to themselves. How can you reject the faith in God, seeing that you were without life, and he gave you life? Then will he cause to die, and he will bring you back to life again. And to him will you return. It is he who hath created for you all things that are on earth. Moreover, his design comprehended the heavens, for he gave order and perfection to the seven firmaments, and of all things he hath perfect knowledge. So let's go back to the first verse, verse 21, that we read now. Okay, verse 21, let's see what God says. O people, adore your guardian Lord, who created you, and those who came before you, that he may have the chance to learn righteousness. So God is saying, O people, worship God, as the people worship God before you, so that you may attain righteousness, so that you may be mindful of God. Who has made the earth your couch, and the heavens your canopy, and sent down rain from the heavens, and brought forth therewith fruits for sustenance, then set not up rivals unto God, when he know the truth. So what we can extract from this verse, God is speaking about not setting up rivals against God. God is speaking about idol worshipping. God is speaking about worshipping anything else other than God. God wants you to worship God alone. If ye are in doubt as to what we have revealed from time to time to our servant, then produce a surah like the unto, and call your witnesses or helpers, if there are any besides God, if your doubts are true. So what God is saying to you is that if you have doubt that this is the last testament, the Holy Quran is the last testament sent from God, revealed by God, sent by God. The last testament revealed and sent by God. Then bring along whoever you want to bring along other than God, and see if you can produce a verse like one of these verses that's in this last testament. But if he cannot, and of a surety he cannot, then fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones, which is prepared for those who reject faith. So God is saying here, if you cannot, but God is saying you cannot. If you cannot, but sure you cannot, God is saying you cannot, then prepare yourself for the fire of hell. And the fuel for the fire of hell is the men and the stones. Now what is the stones? The stones, God is speaking about the idols and all the other things that you build and make to worship. These idols, and you who worship these idols, you are going to be the fuel for the fire. The fuel for the fire in hell. So God is going to burn you with your idols and all. But give glad tidings to those who believe and work righteousness, that their portion is garden beneath which rivers flow. Every time they are fed with fruits therefrom, they say, why, this is what we were fed with before. For they are given things in similitude, and they have therein companions pure and holy, and abide therein forever. So God is saying, the righteous will be in gardens beneath which rivers flow, and they'll dwell therein forever. This is God is speaking about heaven. And then God is saying they will be giving fruits in similitude. So what God is saying is the fruits all will look similar, and they will say, but we were fed this before. But the fruits will all look similar, but they will taste different. God disdains not to use the similitude of things lowest and highest. Those who believe know that it is a truth from the Lord, but those who reject faith say, what means God by the similitude? By it he causes many to stray, and many leads into the right path. But he causes not to stray except those who forsake the path. So, what God is saying here is that those who believe in this last testament, and this is the last testament of God, and they follow what God speaks about in here, God will lead them onto the straight path. And those who don't believe, God will cause them to go astray, and they will obviously lead up eventually when they die. Not believing, they will end up in the fire of hell. However, God speaks about, in the same verse, God speaks about the lowest and the highest. But God speaks about a mosquito, a fly, in the same verse. But the person who translated this from Arabic to English did not speak about the fly or the mosquito, because what happens here is that it will cause confusion. So what we're going to do is later on in this Holy Quran, God speaks about the fly, and then we will speak about it because everything will be more clear. However, my purpose is not to confuse anyone. My purpose is so that Jonathan John reads, or Jonathan John sees my video, and Jonathan John says, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that Jonathan John accepts the faith. Jonathan John accepts what God says. That is my purpose. That is my sole purpose. I do not have any other purpose but to convey the message, to spread the message. That is my purpose. That was very emotional. Those who break God's covenant after it is ratified and asunder what God has ordered to be joined and do mischief on earth, these cause loss only to themselves. And God is saying, those who broke the agreement between themselves and God, whereby they don't believe in God, don't believe this is the final testament, don't believe in what God has written in this Quran, don't want to be taught, don't want to come onto the straight path. The loss is only to themselves. They themselves are at loss. How can he reject the faith in God, seeing that he was without life, and God gave you life? Then will he cause you to die, and he will again bring you to life, and again to him will he return. God says here, God's given you life. I mean, we were all born. We all came out the wombs of our mothers. Before that, before even the sperm drop went into our mother, we weren't there. So God has given us life. So God will cause you to die, because you must die. At any time in your life you're going to die, whether you are young, whether you're old, you will die. And God will raise you up again. And when God raises you up again and give you life again, and you manage and you have lived according to this last testament, the Holy Quran, you will be going to heaven, and then you will have life forever. You will not die again. You will have life forever. You will be in heaven forever. You will not die again. It is He who has created for you all things that are on earth. Moreover, His design comprehended the heavens, for He gave order and perfection to the seven firmaments, and of all things He hath perfected knowledge. So I've just said now that however God has created the earth for us, created this world for us to live in and enjoy, and then if we live in accordance to how God wants us to live, God has created the seven heavens, and that will also be for us to enjoy when we leave this world. And that's obviously when you live a righteous life. So we've completed now verses 21 to 29. I just want to add in here, before I go, is that I want to extract from here, from all these verses, I just want to extract the one thing, and the one thing is, which is the most important thing, is worshipping God and God alone. You can go down the road or wherever, meet up with a lovely young lady, and you can lose yourself and you can commit adultery. For that, God will forgive you. For that, God will forgive you. However, if you've gone there 20 times or 30 times, and after that you've repented and you've now come onto the straight path, and you go back there again after you've come onto the straight path, God will not forgive you. Once you've come onto the straight path, you cannot go back there. Because when you go back there, God will not forgive you. He will only forgive you when you stop that and you come onto the straight path. He will forgive you for that. But obviously, you don't know when you're going to die. Now imagine you die in that state. You're going to burn in hell. So get away from that as soon as possible and come onto the straight path. And then you have a chance. While you're breathing, you have a chance. God will forgive you for that. But my point is this: God will not forgive you when you make partners to God. For this, God will not forgive you. If you make partners to God, idol worshipping people, worshipping prophets, instead of worshipping God, that God will not forgive you. Because God says, I am a jealous God. So I want to be worshipped alone. Now I'm saying to you this now already because it's important. The part where God says I'm a jealous God, that does come further on in the Quran. However, I'm saying this to you now. God says, because in this verse we're speaking about the idols. So I'm saying this to you now to make it quite clear that this is one sin. One sin God will not forgive you is making partners to God. Worshipping idols, worshipping anything else other than God, worshipping people, worshipping prophets. God will not forgive you for that. God will only forgive you for the other sins. No matter how big the other sins are, He will forgive you. But this is one sin. Making partners to God, He will not forgive you. I'm emotional with this one because I spoke about Janet and John. Very emotional. But one day, God willing, Janet and John might just say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Why am I doing this? Because I love you. Bye-bye.